For your ears only for the week of August 26th, I'm David Alpern.
I'm Melissa Axelberth.
If it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down.
If Congressman Aiken really believes in the principles that he espouses, what he'll want is a long-term success for those beliefs rather than a short-term political consequence that's going to hurt those beliefs.
Mitt Romney's going to be the president. The president sets policy. His policy is exceptions for rape, incest, life of the mother. I'm comfortable with it because it's a good step in the right direction.
For much of last week, the storm that seemed most threatening to Tampa's Republican presidential convention was not named Isaac, but Aiken. The Missouri congressman and GOP Senate candidate's remark about legitimate rape and no exception opposition to abortion suddenly had social issues overshadowing the party's preferred targets, bad job numbers and budget deficits under Barack Obama. Leading Republicans from Senator Tom Coburn of Oklahoma, as we heard, all the way to Mitt Romney, called on Aiken to abandon his race and remove the taint he'd brought to the presidential campaign. But the party was still stuck with its platform's new no-exception abortion plank and with Aiken's congressional no-exceptions comrade, Paul Ryan, though he swiftly deferred to Romney's more moderate current stand.
Polls continued to show only marginal advantage for the GOP from Ryan's selection, though he had a surprisingly high favorable rating among seniors, despite his plan to replace Medicare with vouchers. While the national matchups remained practically even, a roundup of more than 24 swing state surveys since August 1st showed Obama leading in 13 and Romney in 11 with two tied. For more on the campaign and what could become known as the GOP's abortion convention, for your ears only, we're joined again by TV commentator Eleanor Clift, also a contributor for NewsweekDailyBeast.com. Welcome back to our program.
Glad to be with you.
Eleanor, Republicans can't run away from Ryan's record on abortion or a slashed-back budget, but their convention keynote speaker, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, has already declared that no one cares about the platform. What role do you see social issues playing at the convention and the campaign to come? Will Democrats try to keep it alive along with Romney's taxes?
Well, I think it adds some tension to the convention that they didn't anticipate and that they certainly don't want. There are a number of anti-abortion advocates who are going to go to that convention very determined to keep their issue front and center. And Mitt Romney went through the primaries really trying to, rally conservatives, assuring them he's one of them, and they're just waiting for him to make the slightest little slip up so they can say, "Ha-ha, see, we told you so." I must say I'm kind of amazed we've heard so little from Rick Santorum, who, after all, I guess was the runner-up in the primaries, and who would be on the same page as Paul Ryan and Todd Aiken on this particular issue. So it sets up a divide that the Republican Party has been dealing with really ever since 1980, and when Ronald Reagan, I think, first introduced a similar human life amendment into the party platform.
Speaking of Romney's taxes, did you see more fodder for Democrats in the Bain Capital documents that were released last week, showing a most aggressive, though, of course, legal form of tax avoidance? Or is it all really too complicated?
Well, it is complicated, but the Obama campaign and their surrogates are going to keep driving this home. And I must say, when you see the phrase blocker corporations, that he sort of funneled his investments through these corporations to avoid taxes. And then last week in a speech made the comment that corporations were doing just fine because they know how to work the tax system, but it's small businesses that are getting crushed. I mean, he's really speaking from the perspective of somebody who's a CEO, and it's not the kind of language, I think, that assures, people who are further down on the income ladder or maybe have lost their job to really believe that he, if elected president, will be able to enact policies that help them. And so I think it feeds into the notion that, this is a man who comes from a certain small segment of society and may not be able to, relate to me, or as people tend to look at politicians, want them to feel their pain. I mean, Bill Clinton, I guess, was the perfect example of that, and Romney's never going to come near to that. But I think one of the challenges in this convention coming ahead is for him to take his expertise, which he clearly has as a businessman, and to somehow make that connection with ordinary people.
Romney also took flack for his crack back home in Michigan about never being asked for his birth certificate. Some saw a calculated revival of the birther attack on Obama. Others just another Romney gaffe. What's your view?
Well, I wonder if that was written into his speech for him or whether he just couldn't resist the joke, just like President Obama when he joked about Romney opposed the windmill tax credit. He said you couldn't put a windmill on your car and got in a joke about the dog. And there are some moments here that are totally irresistible. But it backfired for Romney because, again, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about his critique of a president who really has fallen short when it comes to the economy, and that's the issue that Romney has to, keep alive. And all these distractions, some of his own making, don't help him.
Back to Aiken, his refusal to quit the Senate race led some analysts to greatly reduce GOP prospects for winning Missouri. How key is that state to GOP plans for retaking the Senate?
Well, the Republicans need to pick up 4 seats to take the Senate, and they were counting on that because it looked like Claire McCaskill was really in an uphill battle. It is a conservative state. Barack Obama did not carry it in 2008, and this slap over Aiken at least gives McCaskill a fighting chance. And in fact, a recent poll shows her 10 points ahead.
Are there other Senate races where the rape, abortion, contraception debate might play a key role? States with female Senate candidates, for example.
Well, the Democrats do have a couple of promising women who are running. And I think at the Democratic convention in Charlotte, which comes on the heels of the Republican convention, I imagine there will be some events where the female Senate candidates will stand together, and I think this is an issue. But I don't know that they would run front and center on that, frankly. I think Missouri is a particular state, and Aiken's comments were just so over the top, whereas I think other Republicans are going to, pretend that they don't really think like him.
So you agree with Christie that the fact that it's very much a part of the Republican platform is not terribly relevant either?
Oh no, I think it adds to the extremist quality of the Republican ticket. The Obama campaign has been struggling mightily for months to tie Romney to the House Republicans who have a very low approval rating, and I think this does it. I think that Romney himself is going to have a very difficult time separating himself, not so much from the platform, but from all of the votes that his Republican colleagues have cast in the House, which espouse this notion of trying to narrow the exceptions that would allow women to get a legal abortion. And Romney has been on so many sides of this particular issue that push comes to shove, he always has to line up with the far right. I don't think you're going to hear him talking too much about the exceptions that he would like to see and that the platform doesn't agree with. All the Democratic congressional candidates, House and Senate, are all going to run on a unified message when it comes to Medicare and also when it comes to, certainly exceptions for women in all these instances.
Thank you, Eleanor. TV commentator and Newsweek DailyBeast.com contributor Eleanor Clift.
Quote from the news, there comes a point in every man's life when he has to say enough is enough. That was Lance Armstrong announcing he would end his years-long dispute of charges by the United States Anti-Doping Agency, thereby losing his 7 Tour de France titles, a bronze medal from the 2000 Olympics, and all other titles, awards, and money he won from races dating back to 1998. Armstrong is also barred for life from an official part of any sporting event that follows the World Anti-Doping Code.
Next, how Senate opponents keep outside money out of Massachusetts. For your ears only.